What's going on, everybody? It's Young Man. Today is March 23rd, 2026. Today, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin strategy and Metaplanet, the three topics that we've been talking about and are going to continue to talk about. Today's video is going to be a discussion of my long-term prediction for strategy, MSTR stock. I will start the video by just stating what that prediction is. I believe strategy is going to be the most valuable company. I'm not going to give you a specific time frame that I believe that will play out over because I don't have that answer, but it is something I believe, and today I'm going to share some of the ideas that go into forming my opinion about that. So, if we think about the past, if we think about the time that I grew up in the early 2000s, the company that was the most valuable operation was Microsoft. And this was because they were uniquely positioned at the center of the digitalization of business operation. If you had a business, a company, and you wanted to digitalize it in any way, you had to use Microsoft's products because Microsoft had the best products to do that. And if you wanted to use Excel or use any of the tools Microsoft offered for your business, some of the money that you generated in your business would go to Microsoft. That's how they became the empire that they are today, and they're still relevant. I think a similar process is playing out right now, similar to the digitalization of business operation that happened in the early internet days. But now it's the digitalization of money and of monetary operation and the monetary system. And strategy happens to be positioned right in the center of that. I think that strategy has the tools that make this possible. And I think that they'll be at the foundation of this transition. I think Stretch representing digital credit and I think Bitcoin representing digital capital are going to be the tools that the existing system transforms itself into the system that we will exist within. And I don't think it can happen without strategy. I think strategy already has reached escape velocity and already is positioned to have a similar growth or a similar scale of growth that Microsoft went through. So part of why I think this will happen is because if we think about power and we just think about the dynamics that power operates with, and then we think about motion and Newton's law of motion, specifically inertia, the idea that to be in motion, you have to stay in motion, and to stay in motion, you have to be in motion. I think that that idea is how power works. To be in power, you have to stay in power, and to stay in power, you have to be in power. I think what I'm trying to say is that you don't stay in power if you're not continuously gaining power. You don't stay in motion if you're not continuously gaining motion. Something will slow you down if you stop. In the same way that if you have power, the power seeks to expand it, or else because it's survival. If it doesn't expand its power, it will lose its power. That's just a general idea about how power works. And so if you think about the legacy system of money, it will lose its power if it doesn't do everything it can to keep its power. And I think adopting Bitcoin and using the tools that strategy is going to offer, specifically Stretch, I think those are the necessary steps that the legacy system has to take to maintain any of its power. So there's really two directions that the legacy system can go in. It can either lose its power to the the emerging um, entity, which might be a system that strategy builds, or it can maintain its power by adopting the new powerful systems, which are Bitcoin and Stretch. And I believe that either way, whatever decision or direction that the existing power structure moves towards, strategy's at the center of it. Bitcoin's at the center of it. It's either Bitcoin will replace what exists now, or what exists now will embrace Bitcoin and it will stay as what it is, but it'll be digitalized using Bitcoin, using Stretch. So no matter which direction things move in, strategy will benefit. Bitcoin will benefit because Bitcoin cannot be stopped. It can, the only way to maintain um, your influence without Bitcoin is to, well, you can't. You either lose your influence or you adopt Bitcoin. It's the same on an individual level. Your purchasing power is going to be destroyed unless you adopt Bitcoin. So over time, the opinion that Bitcoin can't help us will not only be proven wrong, but anyone that has that opinion will not exist anymore because in order to exist, you have to adopt Bitcoin. It's a unique type of dynamic, and it's almost natural, and it kind of reflects nature, and it's just survival. Like it's a primal process, and I think strategy being positioned the way it's positioned, it can't lose. And another idea would be in these sorts of situations where you're faced with an existential threat, you will exist after acting or you won't. In that type of situation, there's typically one correct answer. And what I mean is for a gazelle to escape a lion, it has to outrun it or it has to outwit it. It has to do something that will allow it to not get caught by the lion. That's its only option. If it doesn't do that, it will no longer exist. I think if we think about this in terms of money, your purchasing power will flow into Bitcoin or it won't. But in one of these scenarios, it will exist in the future. And in the other scenario, it won't. It's the same idea of the airplane, the wing of the airplane has to be built out of aluminum. If it is built out of anything else, the airplane won't be an airplane. Like it's existentially in the formula to do something or to be something. And if that's not the case, then the being is not in existence. And that's why people say that the war for the future of money will be won with money. Because if anyone or any actor or system tries to suppress Bitcoin, over time, Bitcoin is appreciating purchasing power and appreciating power and relative influence. And whatever system or entity that is pushing against that, over time, it will have significantly less power and it will no longer be effective. It's mathematically growing faster than everything else. It's mathematically the fastest horse, and all the other horses can make their cases and use their reasoning and their logic as to why the fastest horse is not the fastest horse, but no one's going to listen because they're not the fastest horse. It's a matter of something works, everything else doesn't. It's not like a multiple choice test in school where it says select all that are true and you're able to put checks next to two of the five options. It's not that. It's one of these things works. You can try it with anything else, but it's not going to work. And then there's no discussion to be had. That's how Bitcoin is. And I think that the management team at Strategy understands that. And they were able to position themselves at the center of that process before anyone else. And so they're going to be the beneficiary. And you, as an individual, can buy shares of this publicly traded company, and you can be at the center of this transformation and you can benefit. That's not financial advice. I do not know the future. You have to do your own research, find your own conviction. But I do make these videos because I think we have an opportunity to be involved in something that is very important, and economically there's going to be freedom that is bought, and you have the opportunity to be on the side that enjoys the freedom that can be bought, or on the side that is hurt by the fact that the wealth is being transferred at the expense of the old system and the old tools of the old system, the old currencies. Because it's not just that Bitcoin and strategy can make you rich. More importantly, it's that they can make you not poor. It's not just that, like, if you don't adopt, you stay here, and if you adopt, you can do this. It's that if you don't adopt, you will do this, while if you adopt, we'll do this. That's why it's an urgent matter, and that's why I feel the need to try to spread the word. So my long-term case for strategy is that they're going to be the most valuable company in the world, and I'm pretty confident about that because we've seen monopolies on shipping. We've seen Amazon get a monopoly on shipping. We've seen monopolies on handheld tech devices with Apple. We've seen monopolies on software with Microsoft. We've seen monopolies on a lot of different things, but we've never seen a monopoly on money. If you have a monopoly on money, you're going to make more money than all these other monopolies did because you're in the business of money and nothing else. That it's something we've never seen, and if you really sit down and think about it for a long time, it's pretty mind-blowing. So my advice would be to look into it. Of course, none of this is financial advice. I appreciate everybody that has been watching my videos, and I appreciate people who have subscribed to the channel. It helps me out a lot. Um, I would like to continue making videos and make them more frequently. So if there's something that you'd like to hear me talk about, just let me know. Um, but yeah, I hope everyone has a good week and continue to stack sats, continue to fill your mind with knowledge and wisdom and ways that you can provide security for yourself, because I think that that's the best course of action right now. And thanks again for watching.